Charlotte A. Cavatica hushed Robert to try to comfort him. "Do not think of them now," she whispered softly. "I'm worried they'll find us. What if we don't make it to Zootopia somehow?" said Robert sadly. "I'll die if I have to go back to the way I was." "They can't make me," Robert wept sadly. "Nobody can make you do anything, Robert. If you do not let them, now let's go to sleep," Charlotte said kindly. "Good night," whispered Charlotte as she and Robert went to bed and sank into a deep, heavy sleep. That night, Robert had a terrible nightmare. He dreamed he was a brown mouse eating a green apple. Suddenly the noise of a car could be heard on a bridge overhead. Inside the car were the two nasty ladies, Miss Settlers Bentle and Miss Gulch Forcible. "Look," cried Miss Settlers Bentle to the fat Miss Gulch Forcible. "That little rodent is stuffing his face with our green apple. Kill him, Miss Gulch," shouted Miss Settlers Bentle. Robert screamed in terror and took off scampering away. "You can't scamper away from us," Miss Gulch Forcible shouted at Robert, as she sprayed rat poison at him. Although, it wasn't even rat poison at all, it was the mountain lion who ate up Robert's parents, and it came charging after Robert, within dark storm clouds with red lightning flashing. Finally, it caught up to Robert, showed its angry wild face and flashed red lightning from its eyes at Robert. Then, the dream ended suddenly and faded away. Robert woke up with a terrorized gasp and soon noticed, it was getting colder and colder with every breath, and tiny snowflakes were on his face now. Mrs. Brisby shivered, shaking from the cold weather, with only her magic stone to warm her. Robert brushed the flake away and went up onto the surface of the giant green apple to see where they were at. It wasn't Zootopia at all. They were lost in the frozen Arctic Circle, where hundreds of rotting shipwrecks were shipwrecked among the icy waters, and some were even frozen inside of icebergs. The seagulls were frozen by the frost, but they still struggled to keep the giant green apple floating in the air. Then, Robert heard a sudden angry shout, that was addressed to Bouncer. "This is an outrage," shouted Jenny. "How could you do this to us?" she yelled angrily. Robert tried to walk quickly over to his friends to see what was going on, still shivering from the cold. "Where are we? What's going on? Why is everybody on board mad at Bouncer?" Robert asked, a bit puzzled. "We found Bouncer asleep at the stem of the giant green apple. Now we're all lost for good," shouted Jenny and Wooster. The rest of the crew, except Robert, were getting ready to gang up on poor Bouncer, when Robert stepped forward to Bouncer's defense. "Wait!" Robert yelled. "If he says he can navigate us there, then he can navigate us. If not, I have a plan to get a compass to help us out," Robert said to the others on board. "What's your plan?" asked Jenny. All eyes turned toward Robert, who then told them his master plan. "One of us has to dive down into the icy water and then fetch a compass from one of the rotting shipwrecks under the icy water," said Robert, continuing with his plan. "The compass, as well as the one who fetches it, will be pulled out of the water and brought back to the giant green apple afterwards. If only we could, but to go into those icy waters would mean certain death," said Wooster. "He's right, only a fool would do that," said Jenny, but Bouncer had his own ideas, and to help out he decided to accept Robert's impossible plan and follow through with it for good. Before anyone could stop him, Bouncer stepped forward to the edge of the giant green apple, took a big, mighty jump and disappeared into the icy waters. Everyone on board the green apple overheard Bouncer's sudden splash and soon discovered what Bouncer had done. Bouncer jumped in. "I have to go after him," Robert cried. "Not on your life, you'll get sick with a cold," cried Wooster. "But he's my friend." "He'd do the same for any of us," cried Robert. "Robert's right, we've got to do something somehow," cried Jenny. "Calm down," said Charlotte A. Cavatica. "Bouncer the Mouse is one of us, get upon my back, Robert, I'm going with you," said Charlotte, signaling Robert to climb on board her back. Luckily, now that Robert was cartooned, he was able to fit on her back without crushing Charlotte. "Stay by the line, and when you feel more than 2 tugs, pull us up," Robert called to the Skog and his mice friends on board the green apple. However, when they both went into the icy water below, they could breathe underwater like magic. Robert knew that it was the magic green glowworms helping them both out. Robert did not like the look of the shipwrecks underwater. They were scary and sinister looking. One of the shipwrecks had Miss Settlers Bentle and Miss Gulch Forcible on the ship's bow. Meanwhile, Bouncer was swimming by himself in search of a compass. Suddenly, he saw something looming toward him. It was a lifeboat, with 2 pirates, but they looked as if they'd been frozen by frost, and they were alive still underwater. They were living corpses. The 2 sinister pirates grabbed a hold of Bouncer, tied him up and put him into their lifeboat, laughing wickedly. Robert and Charlotte saw what was going on and followed behind them. As they did, they saw a huge, gigantic pirate ship traveling underwater. It was coming toward the lifeboat. Then the ship's flag was revealed. "I knew it. It's him," cried Charlotte. "Who?" asked Robert. "The evilest pirate that ever sailed the 7 seas. Long John Silver," said Charlotte in fear. The 2 pirate corpses kept on laughing wickedly. Soon the lifeboat reached the pirate ship, where the pirates brought their hostage Bouncer before the crew and their captain. It was Long John Silver. He had only 1 leg and a frozen, but living green parrot on his shoulder, clothed in red and green pirate clothing. In his left hand was a golden compass engraved with hundreds of glittering, shimmering jewels. Unlike his pirate crew, Captain Long John Silver had a sinister, fearful face that looked far eviler than any of the members of his entire crew. "Shall we cut him up to get a better look at his insides?" said one of the pirate corpses in a sinister, gravelly voice. "Hold on there just a moment," said Long John Silver, in a sinful, evil voice. "I want a better look at his outsides first." "Long John Silver? It can't be," gasped Robert in fear. "I'm Long John, very long, black and cutthroat silver, to be exact. I'm evil than thee, I'm the main pirate captain of the seven seas, I was dead along with my crew, but we're back and living again. Long John Silver laughed wickedly afterwards, and so did the crew. What are you going to do to me? Shouted Bouncer angrily. Have great fear of my presence, shouted the sinful Long John Silver. I think we'll do something terrible. Finish him. Whatever's left of him is yours. Long John Silver hissed to his frozen crew. Soon they walked toward Bouncer, getting ready to cut him up with their swords. Before any of them could strike a lethal blow upon Bouncer, Robert and Charlotte charged forward to Bouncer's rescue. John Silver, shouted Robert. Touch one hair on Bouncer's head, and you'll be first to step forward against me, he said as he and Charlotte climbed on board the scary pirate ship to rescue Bouncer. Hey, sailors. Looking for some kicks, said Charlotte, as she kicked some of the frozen pirate crew members with her huge spider legs. Thinking quickly, Robert snatched the compass out of Long John Silver's bony hands. Bring back that compass, shouted Long John Silver with all his rage. While Charlotte was freeing Bouncer from his ropes, Robert ran back to Charlotte with the golden compass in his hands, but Long John Silver and his corpse pirate crew were following close behind. Get them! They're getting away, shouted the enraged Long John Silver. Soon they all chased after Robert, Charlotte, and Bouncer, but it was too late for Long John Silver to catch them. Robert had already stolen the golden compass and tugged on the spider string 3 times. Robert's plan and their escape had worked, but suddenly Long John Silver grabbed hold of Bouncer and pulled him down back to his pirate ship. No! Screamed Robert and Charlotte, as they were pulled back towards the giant green apple up above the icy water. Finally, they made it back to the giant green apple, but Bouncer was still on board Long John Silver's pirate ship fighting Long John Silver and the rest of the frozen pirates. What happened to Bouncer? Asked Wooster. He found a compass for us, said Charlotte. We even had to face a group of frozen but living pirates.